Welcome back, everybody, to DGOT, the Instant Reactions. This is our new series we're doing. We got a lot of them tonight too. We're going back to back to back, kind of like who's went back to back to back in
Michael
championships.
Jordan
The
did.
Bulls did for sure.
They
Did
did
the
twice.
did the Warriors do it? The Warriors never. I think they just went
No,
back to back once.
they went
But
back to back. The Lakers did.
the Lakers, yep, with Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, yeah.
But anywho, we about to go back to back to back as well. We're going to do some instant reactions because we support cinema around this joint. The first movie we're going to talk about is 2025's Lock, starring Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. There are a few other people in there, but those are the two headliners. You got the legend, one of the greatest of all times, and an up and rising superstar. I thought the movie was good. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the most groundbreaking, best movie I've ever seen, but it was an entertaining little. How long is this movie? Like 90 minutes. It's a nice little 95-minute movie. It's a nice little 95 hour and a half movie. It's fun. It's that I'll just leave. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's a solid little flick. What do you think? General thoughts?
I'll be honest with you. There were parts of it where I was like, this is just nothing special. Like I'm watching this movie and I'm into it, but nah. But then there's other times where like, oh, this is really good. There's some good stuff going on here. So I think that it was a fine movie as well.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Just a fine movie. Nothing that's gonna shake the tree or anything, but it was a good movie. I'll just get started with my general my positives. Bill Skarsgård was really good. Like I'm liking seeing Bill Skarsgård not in a mask or not in prosthetics or not in giant costumes. I like just seeing him act. Like, even I know you hated The Crow. I thought he did fine I thought he did fine in The Crow. I thought
he did fine with what he was given. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he did fine in Lock. Like, he didn't give no Oscar worthy performance, but I thought he did a good job. And I liked watching him on like if you didn't have like a Bill Skarsgård in that role, like, would you care? Like, if it was just some new guy, like, would you care really? Probably not. Not me anyways.
I think it depends on how they deliver, like what they deliver, what they brought to the table, because it's hard to say that anyone else couldn't have done that role. But could anyone else have done it to the level he did? Probably not. So that's a good point. I won't say that it would have. He's the only reason I liked it, because he's not. But I see what you're saying.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you something. If if it wasn't Bill Skarsgård and it was just some new guy we never heard of, would we even go see the movie?
I would, just because, like I told you off air, I'd never heard this. I didn't know Bill Skarsgård was in this movie. I didn't know this movie was coming out. I just happened to open up the Regal app, see, hey, what's coming out this weekend? Locked. What's that about? Clicked on. I was like, oh, okay. Now, I will say, when I saw Bill Skarsgård's name, I was like, okay. And I saw Sir Anthony Hopkins. I was like, dear God, he's got to be 100 years old. And he's close. But I was like, yeah, I'll go see it, because the premise sounds fine. So I would have seen it regardless if it was someone else in that lead role, because Hopkins was in it and the premise was good enough to get me to go, because I've got Regal Unlimited and I can go for free. Now, if Skarsgård was not in it and I didn't have Regal Unlimited, I probably would have saved my money. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I thought, there was some good tension. Like you mentioned, I'm not going to steal your thunder on one of your favorite scenes of tension. But man, this guy, Anthony Hopkins, man, he's a peckerhead. Like, he's fucking with this guy. Like I get Bill Skarsgård, his character. What's his character's name? Let me go ahead and look that up. Eddie. Yeah. Like, he's got a little bit of a checkered past. I think all of us know or have heard of a guy like this in our town doing all these little petty crimes to get by and all that. I feel like Eddie's trying to do better, but he just can't get over the hump. This movie talks a lot about, social issues right now, economic issues right now, capitalism getting over the hump, the rich entrapping the poor and all that kind of stuff. But, we all know this kind of a person, like, just trying to get over it. And I genuinely think that Eddie was trying to get better at the end. What about you? You think so as well?
I do. I think that he wanted to be a better person, but couldn't get out of his own way. And the system is set up to keep people like that down. But it succeeds even more when people buy into that. So, like, there are a select number of people that recognize the system is set up in an unfair way to favor the rich and detriment the poor, but they work twice as hard and pull themselves out of the hole. Then there's another set of people that know yeah, I'm screwed because of what the situation I was born into, and they just like accept it. And I feel like that's how he was. He's like, this is just
Hmm.
how it is. I can't get out of this. So I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, and I get where he's coming from, but I mean, you can't break into people's cars, man. Like that's not the way to get out the mud. You just got to grind. Like I don't want to say pick yourself up by the bootstraps, but you got to grind sometimes. You got to grind.
Well, and I will say, okay, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Not all three of these movies. I don't. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But let's go ahead and talk some spoilers on this one. They may not all have spoilers, but um, Locked. His van was in the shop, and he mentioned that he needs his van to make deliveries. He's some kind of delivery driver. So I think he was trying, but he didn't have enough money to get his van out of the shop, and without his van, he couldn't work. So I think he was just stuck. I think that's the reason that he was breaking into cars, because we didn't open with him breaking into cars. We opened with him trying to trying to make arrangements to get his van when he had the money. And then it's like, this was the last resort. So I think that feeds into he wants to do better. It's not like his whole world revolves around crime.
Yeah, but he was stealing folks' wallets at the
Oh yeah.
mechanic shop. Buying them scratcher tickets. Which shout out to him. Won $500. I've done that once or twice. It's a good feeling. You lose $1,000, but when you win that 500, it just hits so much different.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins was a nice surprise. I thought he was only, spoiler. This is kind of a spoiler. I thought he was only going to be a voice for the movie, but it was nice to see him on screen at the end. It was nice to see old Hannibal Lecter in the driver's seat of that nice ass car. Whatever. I can't remember what it was. But that thing was fire though.
Yeah. Oh man, what was it? Had two
It's,
L's in it and a D. I think I can't remember the name
I
of it,
think it
but
started with a D, didn't it?
I think so.
I
Here,
can't
I'll see
remember
if
to
I
save
can look
my
it up. You go ahead, and I'll see if I can look it up.
I can't remember to save my life. But no, it's kind of like a soft core like Saw movie kind of. Like he gets trapped in this and he gets like literally trapped inside of this SUV. And this is the strongest SUV I've ever. This thing's stronger than a submarine for Pete's sake. Like this man can't get out. He's like using bats and like he's got like these weapons with him. He can't shoot his way out of the glass. Can't break his way out. He's trying to break the car like
Yeah.
screw and nut by bolt and all that, but he can't get out. So like Hannibal's like, hey, I called him Hannibal. What's his name in this? William.
William.
He'll like, you're not gonna listen to me? I'm gonna turn the heater on.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm gonna freeze you. Oh, now you ain't got no water. He's fucking with him big time. But go ahead.
That's a good way to give him pneumonia too. Make him sweat and then make him freeze. Like he could have caught pneumonia. But the car was a Dolus.
I've never heard of those.
I don't think they're real.
Yeah,
maybe they are. But
if they are, they're way out of my tax bracket.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have Brian and Mike money for those. But it's funny that you mentioned like Jigsaw or Saw, because I put in my Letterboxd review, it's like an alternate universe Jigsaw origin story. Because like
I got Saw vibes.
Yeah, the similarities, like two guys that have cancer diagnoses or facing death, and they want to teach people a lesson about the lives they've chosen. It's like, okay, this is Saw, except for instead of a reverse bear trap, we got a luxury SUV. There's worse ways to go. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have any other positives for?
No, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Bill Skarsgård. Watching this movie, I thought someone needs to write a movie where Bill Skarsgård and Pete Davidson are brothers, because his look in this movie is like everyday Pete Davidson when he had his bleached blonde hair. And I was like, dude, that would be a great movie. But anyway, I thought Skarsgård was great. I think the premise is good. I mean, it's like we said, you and I love Saw more than most. And so we like those kinds of movies, like someone's trapped and they got to find their way out. And Williams seemed to have unlimited resources. I mean, this, like you said, this vehicle was inescapable and indestructible. So that was really good. I think that, let's just go ahead and talk about it. So there's some scenes that made my stomach turn for two scenes in particular, and for two different reasons. First of all, when he drank that piss.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up.
Brother, I almost yacked, and I don't have a sensitive stomach. Like I can watch stuff and be like, "Oh, that's gross," but like it doesn't affect. But just I think it's because his acting. So Skarsgård's acting, he really seemed like he was smelling that days old urine in that bottle.
He was desperate. You could tell.
Yeah,
It was
and
good,
so
desperate acting.
it was great, desperate, and it just that was disgusting. But the scene, and this is spoiler. So this SUV is able to be remotely controlled. Doesn't have to have a driver. He can use autopilot. He can control it remotely and drive it down the street, make it do whatever he wants. And at one point, he goes to Eddie's daughter's school, sees her on the sidewalk, and then the SUV starts chasing the little girl riding her scooter down the sidewalk. And Eddie's trapped in the back seat. Nothing he could do. He can't stop the vehicle. Brother, that was one of the tensest scenes I can remember, because most movies I'd be like, it's clear they're not going to kill the kid. This one, I genuinely thought that he was going to kill that kid, because we saw what he did to the hobos, or the people fighting in the alley there.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to, because it's clear this guy's going to die. He has nothing to lose. No one will ever figure this out, apparently. He doesn't care. He's going to kill this guy's daughter. And, then Eddie puts the gun up to his head and pulls the trigger. I was like, oh my God, like that was incredible tension through that scene. I loved it. I do. We don't always need one, and we've talked about this on the show. We don't always need a happy ending, but I'm glad we got one here. I truly feel like leaving the theater. I truly feel like Eddie has turned his life around. He's turned the corner. He's going to be a present father. He's going to get a real job. And this is going to be a good citizen the rest of his life. Like, I got that feeling because of the ending and the stuff that he went through. And so I thought that was really good as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like you mentioned with that drinking the pee scene, man, it's just like how he got there is funny. Is because he was trying to jack another car, but there was a dog in it. And he's like, oh, you must be so hot. So he had this one water bottle in his bag, and he poured out like 97% of the water to this dog that was in his car. So when he gets into Williams' vehicle, he's got like one sip of water left. So he's like, he fucked himself, and he didn't really know it.
Well, and speaking to that, I wasn't going to mention this in my cons, but I will, because I remembered it when you said that. He's talking about how, oh, you poor dog, you must be so hot. Dude, he's got like a winter coat on. I don't know what time of year it was, but I don't think that dog was hot.
It was probably what, like, I mean, I have to think it's up north. Like, I'm just assuming he's got.
It was in Portland, wasn't it?
That's right. That's right. It was in the Pacific Northwest. It's got to be 60, 50, 60, because he's got a hoodie on. That dog's not hot.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break, man. You know how dogs work? They got fur on.
It was a hoodie. It wasn't a winter coat. But still, yeah, he had his hoodie on and looked snug as a bug. You're not going to wear that unless you're one of those maniacs from Florida that wears hoodies in the summertime. No, you're not going to do that. So.
And if they do that, I tell them to stay away from it, because they got to be sick or fucked up in the head, because it's way too damn hot for you to be wearing a hoodie right now. So let's jump into our cons. I really only have a couple, but they're the biggest. But like, this is what really brought the movie down for me. To me, it just gets a little monotonous through the middle. Yeah. Like he's getting fucked with for a long, long time before, William takes over the vehicle and starts doing some, crazier things. It's like, all right, you're just like semi-torturing this guy forever. It's like, this does like get a little monotonous and slow. And I thought the ending was like pretty predictable. Like, they show him throughout the movie. He's trying to like use his fingers or his feet, his toes or whatever, to press this like button that he found, pretty conveniently, taking a picture, like trying to find the insomnia cookie or something.
To flip he's trying to get the fuse out, which I've never in my life seen a vehicle with a fuse box like right there. So
yeah, and it's like a power switch. Like all he has to do is just flip the switch or whatever. Like, we knew it was going to happen. Like, it wasn't terrible or anything, but it was just predictable. It was a good ending though. I thought, just flip the car. Like, we're spoiling this, I guess. Flip the car off. They fly off a cliff. That's more Jigsaw vibes. John Kramer, he drove off a cliff. I mean, it wasn't the same, but it was kind of the same, That's really my only two qualms, but to me, those are big qualms, because it's like if a movie gets monotonous, like, you start disengaging a little bit. But that's when, they bring in those, like, the pee scene. Like, that was so nasty. Chasing his daughter down. That was tense, like you mentioned, but I don't know, it just got a little too much of the same in the middle. Like, if you shorten this movie by like 10, 15, like an hour and 20, like the woman in the yard was, hour and 20, this might have been a little bit better pace. But I only got a couple qualms, but to me, those are big qualms.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, the middle did seem get monotonous, and that's what I was talking about earlier when I was like, some of the movie, I was like, there's nothing special about this. We're really just sitting in this car with him. But to me, my issues with the movie are, number one, I know it probably wouldn't have worked, but he never once tried to use the phone on the car that he was getting calls to. It's like, well, dude, that's like the first thing I would have been doing. Number two, you have to suspend your disbelief for sure.
A lot.
Because like I'm not buying there windows that are so dark that that girl that was checking herself out in the window, there's no windows that exist that are so dark and so thick that she wouldn't have seen movement inside or heard him beating on the glass from the inside. So I'm not buying that. Which not sure she would have done anything anyway or been able to do anything anyway, but still, it's just one of those little things. And then just the how long he lasted without water. Like I don't think that he would have been in as good a condition as he was. He didn't poop at all, which not everybody poops every day. That's fine. But he was in that car for how long? Like 5 days, something like that.
Yeah, it was several days.
Several days, and he never once pooped. I didn't want to see him poop, but maybe they showed like how they showed him peeing. He's in the back and he has to do it. Maybe he goes back there and we see him struggling for like 5 seconds, and then it cuts the scene. So we just because logically he would have had to poop probably, but anyway.
And getting shot like he did so many times might trigger a bowel movement because he got tased or stunned several times. I mean, stuff like that could trigger that.
Yeah. Now this car is obviously souped up, but I don't think the heating and air are that good. Like he would have been cold, he would have been hot, but not like sweating bullets like he was, I don't think, because like we said, it was probably around 60 degrees outside. So I don't think it would have been that hot, and I don't think it would have been that cold. But this car is souped up. I don't know. But to me, the biggest crime, I guess, is that it was pretty predictable. I mean, there was nothing that happened. Once you hear the premise of the movie, or the name of the movie is called Locked, and you read the little blurb on IMDb, it's like we know what we're in for. So sometimes your title can be a detriment. Like it's a clever title, it fits perfectly with what's going on, but it gave the whole movie away. We know that he's going to be locked in this car, and just there were brief moments where I thought he might not ever make it out of this, but I knew for a fact once William got in the car and they started driving off together, I was like, okay, he's going to make it out of this, because you wouldn't have had him get in the car if he wasn't going to get killed and Eddie was going to escape, to me.
Yeah. I kind of wish, like, I'm not against a happy ending, but maybe he flicks that fuse or whatever and nothing happens. Like it was just a false pretense maybe, but William maybe just has a heart attack, or I don't know, hits a deer. I don't know. Just do something a little different just to, because I mean, everybody saw like once he started fidgeting with his toes in there, like we know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And also, zip ties are not that strong. Like you can break zip ties. So I'm not sure that he wouldn't have broke that zip tie. But there was another movie that came out. What was the year of this one? It was 2000. I want to say like 15, but I could be wrong.
2015. I probably like that movie. It doesn't seem too old.
2013.
Oh,
There's a movie that came out in 2013 called Locke, L-O-C-K-E, and it also features a man in a car the entire movie. And when I say a man in the car the entire movie, it's an hour and 25 minutes, and literally the entire car is Tom Hardy's character driving down the interstate on a phone call. And somehow,
you told us about that.
Yeah, I think it's A24. It is A24, but somehow that movie was more captivating than Locked. So to me, that gets into the monotony. It's not about the same thing happening the entirety of the movie. It's about what you do with it.
Yeah.
And when your outcome is so predictable and you're still being monotonous, I think that's when you start to lose some folks. So all in all, I gave this movie a 3.5 on Letterboxd. So and that's basically carried off of Skarsgård's performance. But I think it's a fine movie. It's a fun movie, but it's nothing great.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. I'm right there with you. Thought it was fine. We'll probably review it someday. Not no rush to do it, but it was
Right.
okay. It was solid. Definitely go check it out if it's showing. It's got a pretty limited release for me. I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure.
It's not even showing anymore here. So
Yeah, but it had
well,
I
actually,
think it had a
I think
1 p.m. showing today. That's it.
I think it is for the next couple days, but I think Thursday it's out of here.
Yeah, we hate to see it. They wonder why theaters are struggling. They just take movies out too fast, but they're not promoting movies either. So
Well,
it's like,
you know what?
what do you?
Don't get me started on this because I thought of something today. It's like, yeah, they take movies out too fast, but then other movies, I think it's all about the studios and how much the studio pushes for a movie to be kept in theater because Snow White is getting just it's absolutely bombing at the box office. Like it's on pace to lose like $200 million.
Whew.
And it's still got showtimes like up and down the clock
Mm-hmm.
and like through the weekend. Yet a movie like Locked, which I know we just made it sound like it's not that great, I guarantee it's better than Snow White. And it's getting pulled after a week or two. So that's just the model's broken.
Yep.
Streaming has ruined the theater experience.
Hey, it's money. Like
Yeah.
Locked. Money. They ruined it.
Yeah.
The love of money is the root of all evil. But anyway, that's a good stopping point to me for Locked. Dustin, any final thoughts before we jump into our next instant reaction?
No, I was just going to say, these first two reactions we're going to do, they're very much aligned in their commentary on social stuff. Eat the rich and all that. So let's just go ahead and get into it.
I really feel like before we move on though, I feel like Locke did a good. I think it portrayed both perspectives pretty good though. Like you can see where Bill's character is coming from, but like William's like, dude, like you can't just break into my car like to get
Yeah.
out. Like I thought it did a fine job.
So it did because with Locked, they didn't pick a rich person that seemed to be just an evil person. This guy's a doctor who's just he's fed up. So this next movie though, it's the more broad scope of the elite of the 1% and how little they care about people. So they are different in that regard, but it is funny how they're both talking about the same thing.
Yeah. And speaking
Because
of that,
like Eddie was not talking about William in particular. He's talking about, I mean, he did mention like, yeah, you had a silver spoon. I came from nothing, but it wasn't him specifically. This next movie is like, yeah, these people that we see that represent the rich, they are the issue. They are the problem. So
yeah.